I had a question. Now, she's a vocalist. Does she get exposed to other instruments, or do the children get exposed to many instruments in your program, or do they want to specialize?
That's a good question. Sarah also plays the piano, and we think that playing other instruments is a good idea. In the beginning, in the early music awareness class that I told you about before, in that class every week they try a different instrument. So they have a chance to try real trumpets and flutes and pianos, and they learn about all the families of all the instruments, all the parts of the instrument, and then they have a chance to play it in front of everyone else, and so everyone else learns the 3 rules to be a good audience, which are sit quietly, never laugh, and always clap. So in those classes, then children get exposed to enough that very often they show an inclination toward a certain family of instruments, and they think, well, I want to play this or that. And when they're ready, we do this assessment to determine if they're ready to play an instrument and help them kind of navigate that path. We have a set of music education specialists that help families navigate the music education path so they can keep it positive. We want to help the kids enjoy music forever. I'd rather have a child leave a class and say, I love music, but what's a quarter note? Then I know what a quarter note is, but it's really boring. You know what I mean? I'd really rather have them love it. So if we expose them to a lot of instruments in the beginning in a cursory way so they get to handle them, then they can make a better choice. And during that time, they're also learning how to read music, you know, remember the big dirty face quarter note, all of that. They learn it in a developmentally appropriate way. So they're ready to make a decision, and they already read music before they're ready to actually play it. Wow. So it makes it so much more fun when they actually start the hard work of learning to play an instrument. But some children, we think that the voice is a very valid instrument. It's a difficult instrument also. So we treat that like a separate instrument. If that's what they have their heart to do, that's what makes their bells ring, then we encourage them and help them with that.
Well, name some of the instruments that you have, that you offer, and also what you would consider to be perhaps a little bit more challenging. I heard that the violin is a challenge. I don't know why, but what would you think on different instruments?
You know, I had this conversation with a flute teacher once when I was explaining that, you know, I think violin is a little bit harder than flute, and she was mortified that I thought that the violin was harder than the flute, you know.
Really?
So I think it depends on who you talk to, but from a developmental perspective, we teach instruments that are size appropriate to children as young as they can handle them. So at early ages, they can play things like violins and guitars, because stringed instruments can be reduced without changing the pitch. They can play recorders and flutes that have been modified for shorter arms. They can play keyboards and glockenspiels and drums. So those are about the 6- and 7-year-old range instruments that we offer. But as they get older and they're bigger, then they can play concert flutes, clarinets, saxophone, you know, what else is big? You know, brass instruments then come in. So you can't really play brass instruments until you're about 9 or 10. So we offer all of those instruments, plus a few unusual ones like harp, banjo, you know, things like that that are non-symphonic, but still fun and kind of represent where kids are.
Yes.
You don't start them off with a big
a banjo, a big old electric guitar or something like that.
Any of the real bass fiddle or anything like that.
Well, it has to be size appropriate. Although those string instruments can be reduced.
A big trombone.
Yes, you know, they have to be able to fit it. And to answer your question about what's harder, you know, I think that when a child comes in and they want to play violin, we want to see that they've been wanting to do that for about 6 months or longer, because it takes about 6 months longer to sound good on a violin than it does maybe on a piano. So for that reason, because it has more technical requirements of your fingers and hands and muscles, and if I move my fingers this far on a violin, it's a different note, but if I play that note on the piano, it's always the same note, so it doesn't sound as bad. Is that the right way to say it? But you know, we always hear stories of squeaky violins, but it does take longer to sound good on a violin. But if you have a passion for it, and we see if they have an aptitude for song, for example. If they're a good singer, then usually that means they can operate the sounds of music in their brain so that they can note if they're making a wrong sound on the violin, and then they can make those adjustments. Kids that can't sing well don't usually play violin well.
it's time for our second musician.
Well, good. Tiana Travis is going to also studies piano and voice, but she's going to accompany herself on the piano and sing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
Yeah.
There's a calm surrender to the rush of day when the heat of the rolling world can't be turned away. An enchanted moment, and it sees me through. It's enough for this restless warrior just to be with you. And can you feel the love tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far. And can you feel the love tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best.
Very good. Just really nice. Yeah, that's hard to
Yeah,
do two
well-
things at one time. Excellent.
Yeah,